The Lord be with you. I'm Deacon Keith Fournier. Our first reading is taken from the book of the Acts of the Apostles. Then Peter stood up with the 11 and addressed them in a loud voice. Men of Judaea and all who live in Jerusalem, make no mistake about this, but listen carefully to what I say. Men of Israel, listen to what I am going to say. Jesus the Nazarene was a man commended to you by God, by the miracles and portents and signs that God worked through him when he was among you, as you know. This man, who was put into your power by the deliberate intention and foreknowledge of God, you took and had crucified and killed by men outside the law. But God raised him to life, freeing him from the pangs of Hades, for it was impossible for him to be held in its power, since, as David says of him, I kept the Lord before my sight always, for with him at my right hand nothing can shake me. So my heart rejoiced, my tongue delighted, my body too will rest secure, for you will not abandon me to Hades, or allow your Holy One to see corruption. You've taught me the way of life, and you will fill me with joy in your presence. And our response is taken from Psalm 16. Protect me, O God. In you is my refuge. To Yahweh I say, you are my Lord. My happiness is in none. My birthright, my cup, is Yahweh. You alone hold my lot secure. I bless Yahweh, who is my counselor. Even at night my heart instructs me. I keep Yahweh before me always. For with him at my right hand, nothing can shake me. So my heart rejoices. My soul delights. My body too will rest secure, for you will not abandon me to Sheol. You cannot allow your faithful servant to see the abyss. You will teach me the path of life, unbounded joy in your presence. At your right hand, delight forever. In our second reading is taken from the first letter of the Apostle Peter. And if you address as Father him who judges without favoritism according to each individual's deeds, live out the time of your exile here in reverent awe. For you know that the price of your ransom from the feudal way of life handed down from your ancestors was paid, not in anything perishable like silver or gold, but in precious blood, as of a blameless and spotless lamb, Christ. He was marked out before the world was made, and was revealed at the final point of time for your sake. Through him you now have faith in God, who raised him from the dead and gave him glory, for this very purpose, that your faith and hope should be in God. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. Now that very same day, two of them were on their way to a village called Emmaus, 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking together about all that had happened. And it happened that as they were talking together and discussing it, Jesus himself came up and walked by their side. But their eyes were prevented from recognizing them. He said to them, "What are all these things that you are discussing as you walked along?" They didn't recognize him. They stopped, their faces downcast. Then one of them, called Cleopas, answered him, "You must be the only person staying in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have been happening there these last few days." And he asked, "What things?" They answered, "All about Jesus of Nazareth, who showed himself a prophet, powerful in action and speech before God and the whole people. And how our chief priests and our leaders handed him over to be sentenced to death and had him crucified. Our own hope had been that he would be the one to set Israel free. And this is not all. 2 whole days have now gone by since it all happened, and some women from our group have astounded us. They went to the tomb in the early morning, and when they could not find the body, they came back to tell us they had seen a vision of angels who declared he was alive. Some of our friends went to the tomb and found everything exactly as the women had reported, but of him they saw nothing." Then he said to them, "You foolish men, so slow to believe all that the prophets have said. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer before entering into his glory? Then starting with Moses and going through all the prophets, he explained to them the passages throughout the scriptures that were about himself. When they drew near to the village to which they were going, he made as if to go on. But they pressed him to stay with them, saying, "It is nearly evening, and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. Now while he was with them at table, he took the bread, said the blessing. Then he broke it and handed it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. But he had vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us as he talked to us on the road and explained the scriptures to us?" They set out that instant and returned to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 assembled together with their companions, who said to them, "The Lord has indeed risen and has appeared to Simon." Then they told their story of what had happened on the road and how they had recognized him at the breaking of bread. The Gospel of the Lord.
Amen.